Hey guys! Well, when it comes to the case of Christopher Watts, it sure does seem like you learn something new every day. The other day I watched one of Cher's videos and I saw how the police officers were knocking on doors in the neighborhood, following up on the flyers that they had put on everybody's door in the neighborhood. And one of the neighbors said that he had no clue who Christopher Watts' wife was. He said he had never seen her before. And remember, Christopher Watts and his wife lived there for almost 5 years, or actually for just over 5 years. And one of the neighbors had never seen her before? That's interesting. I thought it was interesting also that the police officers didn't ask that particular neighbor if he had any security cameras going on. Because it sure seems to me that it would be good to see videos from the other houses in the neighborhood, besides that one who seemed to me to be a little bit too informed, if you know what I'm saying. Remember, the one right next door told the police officer who first responded that Christopher Watts' wife was a diabetic, right? He just seemed to be long on details, but maybe short on, well, whatever. He's the same guy who said that he heard Christopher Watts yelling at his wife, and then later he changed the story to say that he heard Christopher Watts and his wife both yelling. There's a big difference. Well, anyway, the other neighbor, the one that Cher did a video showing that body cam footage, the guy who had never seen her before, had no clue who she was, maybe he had a security camera too. If we could see the videos from the other neighbors, maybe we'd see cars and trucks coming and going, and we'd see what time the cars and the trucks were coming and going. You know what I'm saying? The other thing that I think is interesting is that, I think it's good that the police officers did put those flyers out and that they did follow up and, that they went around knocking on doors and talking to people. That's good. But it surprises me when you think about how much time was spent interviewing all sorts of people, some of whom had never met her and didn't know her at all. Yet Christopher Watts' mother, Cindy Watts, according to Cindy Watts, was never interviewed at all. And it isn't like they never heard of her, because if you listen to some of those police interviews, it's pretty obvious that Cindy Watts' name, well, actually not her name, because they didn't call her by name. I found that to be rather curious. The one that did say her name claimed that she wasn't sure if that was her name. If you're familiar at all with abuse and domestic violence, then you might understand the dynamics behind my opinion on that situation. So it just seems to me that when you have one after another lining up to say Cindy, well, again, they didn't say her name. They'd say things like, Christopher Watts' mother didn't go to the wedding. Well, if you have so many people talking about Christopher Watts' mother, and even if they hadn't been talking about Christopher Watts' mother on and on and on, it just seems to me that a quick phone call to Christopher Watts' mother to interview her would have made sense. Just my opinion. A couple of other things. I think it's interesting to learn, and I didn't know this before this morning, actually, when I watched a video about it, I think it's very interesting to learn after all this time that the house was a mess, that the pantry was a mess, that the house was a wreck, evidently, according to the babysitter. Did you know that? What that tells me, for someone who was claiming to be OCD, which I don't believe she was, quite frankly, I think that her friend was very organized. The friend that it seems to me she was kind of trying to copy. And so I think she probably figured that saying she was OCD would, be a cool thing. But if the house was known to be organized, for the most part, and then the weekend before the tragedy, it was a wreck, well, isn't that a sign of something? Maybe the inner emotions, playing out? Maybe depression? Maybe feeling desperate or helpless? Or feeling like maybe she just didn't care anymore? Look at the dominoes that are lined up at that point. Look at the financial situation. Look at the ongoing family matter. And the house was a wreck. Christopher Watt's wife asked him if he would stay with her if they didn't have kids. She also said that when she tried to talk to him about their relationship, that he would say he was not going to lose the girls. I don't think he left his wife. I don't think he was leaving his wife for any girlfriend. I think he was leaving his wife in order to not lose the girls. Just my opinion.